Right, well, I'm going to show you another book. Usually it's off my bookshelf, but this hasn't actually made it to my bookshelf yet because it's absolutely brand new. I've not read it, I've only looked through at the pictures, and it's fantastic. It's called Urban Watercolour Sketching by Felix Scheinberger. And I didn't actually realise when I bought this book, I already have another book by Felix Scheinberger. I knew I had this book. This is another fantastic book. Both of these books, like I say, I haven't read this one yet, but looking at the pictures, it's brilliant. But this one is, I have read this one. I've had this one maybe a year or so now. Yeah, it's brilliant. So I'm going to show you both, and I'm going to get straight into it, and I'm going to tell you why I like them. That's probably why I bought them, or I think originally. So as you can see, look, I haven't even broken the spine. Urban Watercolour Sketching. But every review I've read or seen about it on YouTube, it says that it's not really about urban sketching. It's more about quick watercolour drawing. Which is why I got it, because my type of drawing and sketching is quite tight, quite, I don't know the term to use really. Just look at that, that's excellent. So this type of sketching is very loose and very quick, and this is something where I'm hoping to get to myself, to actually go and do this, not particularly copy the style, but to just try and loosen up, and not be too bothered about the sort of finer points of drawing and sketching. And you will have seen that when I've been doing my painting, that I've not been too accurate with where I've been going with the paint. And that's just me trying to look at this page. Look at this page. This is great. Yeah, we haven't got a shine on there. That's again. I'm just going to flip through the book, and then when I'm editing it, just take out little bits and pieces. Just a little note to parents that some of the pictures in here might not be very appropriate for young people. If you're thinking of buying this book for yourself, probably have a quick look at it first. That goes with a lot of art books. The last art book I showed you, look at this colour wheel. Yeah. The last art book I showed you from Salvador Dali, there was a lot of pages that I couldn't show you in there. Look at this, look, excellent stuff. So this is showing drawing your kit. It's like I said before when we did drawing your equipment film. It is a standard thing to do, and look at these. These are paint tubes, absolutely brilliant. Pencils. New York, Times Square. look at that page. Look how fantastic that is. So our next video, because I do like to sort of link in the books with the next film that I make, is going to be about trying to loosen up drawing, trying to not be too bothered about accuracy, and just try and get a feeling. Sorry if I'm going over this because I've had to cut out a few pages. So the next film that we're going to do is about not being too bothered about being accurate. I mean, obviously a person doesn't have a shaped head like that, but he just looks such a character. And this is just a simple drawing of a straw. Can you see how wavy all these lines are? I mean, straws are straight. But it doesn't matter, you can still tell that that's a straw. And you can even tell it's a straw with stripes on. It's excellent. Toothbrush. So I'm going to leave this book on this. I'm going to show you the other book. But can you see the headline here? How much is your picture worth? So I'm going to go to this camera. You already know what I'm going to say if you come to my clubs. It's worth £25,000! People that don't come to my clubs will be thinking, what? What's that about, eh? So whereas the last book is predominantly about watercolour painting, but it's still about sketching, this one is pretty much a bit of everything. So look, it's still the same pictures. There's some of the same pictures, should I say. Going to go through this a little bit quicker than the other one. Like I say, there are some, but this has got a lot more drawing based. More reportage type of drawing. I love that picture, but I really like trolleys. But this highlights exactly what I'm trying to get to in my own work. When you've got a sketchbook, it's not about making finished drawings. It's about getting the feel of what's there, and this is just such a fantastic. I mean, I don't know if you've ever tried to draw a trolley. But there's so many lines this way and so many lines that way, and then to draw the shadow as well is just, and really that's not a very accurate drawing. You know, this side is longer than this side, whereas if we're looking at it this way, this should be a little bit longer than that one. That should be a bit shorter. There's not enough lines. These are like, you know, made out of bamboo canes, really. These are yeah, I mean, you know, when you analyse the drawing, it's really not a very good, accurate drawing. But when you just look at that picture, it's like, oh, it just says it's a trolley left in the street with a shadow. Absolutely brilliant. And that's the kind of thing that I'm hoping to try and do in the next film. Is we're going to do a couple of exercises just to try and loosen up the drawing. So very different book. There were very different pictures. I'll go back to this camera to wind up. Very, very different pictures to the other books I've shown you. And this artist is still alive and he's still producing work. I love his stuff, and I love his sketches. And the fact that it's about working in a sketchbook, which is something else I really like. So I hope you've liked the two books I've got on Felix Scheinberger. He's a living artist. He's still producing work. He lives in Berlin, and he does a lot of illustrations for children's books and things. So yeah, a little bit different to the books I've shown you before. Like I say, he's a living artist and he's an illustrator, which is very different to the artists I've shown you before, are all being fine artists. So, like I say, a little bit different, but I'm hoping you've enjoyed looking at the books.